Okay, so moving on, now I got the setup version of this executable, and I'll just say yes, run it. And so this is the code blocks installer. One thing that I'd like to do before we continue on with this installer, I will probably just save our project here, save everything I have, like save all, and perhaps clean my solution, which is my habit before I exit, and just save file, just exit out of Visual Studio. So this is my code block setup, which installs an environment similar to Visual Studio. So it wants us to basically go over this license agreement and say I agree, and then we just pick the typical options. I really don't care much about big changes. Now, you should notice that when I was trying to download, I got the version which includes for my Windows platform. I chose the version that includes MinGW compiler suite. MinGW stands for Minimalist GNU for Windows, and GNU is, of course, GNU is not Unix, and that's just a suite of open source tools for multiple platforms, and that's the one that I chose. So MinGW is one of the distributions of free compilers, open source compilers, GNU, C, C++, and Fortran compiler, and this is the one that I've downloaded. But it's because I have other compilers installed on this laptop, it's going to allow me to basically use other compilers. But we shall see it in the installation. We'll just keep the default folder for the destination. So it goes through the install. You can probably watch and find better videos that are introducing you to installing code blocks. I'll just run this very, very basic, just like demonstrate that you can, if I can install it, you too can install it, and we should be able to switch over to using code blocks from Visual Studio, because we do have Visual Studio in class and on campus, but we don't have it. You don't have it at home. And if that's the case, code blocks is a wonderful alternative, so that it gives you a very friendly, simple environment to work on. Do you want to run code blocks now? I'll just say no for now, just say next and finish. And it creates this icon on my desktop, and it just goes straight to code blocks. It opens up, and let's see what what's going to happen. So see how it finds like Visual Studio already installed here, and it also finds GNU GCC compiler. So this is the one that I'm going to pick, and I'm just going to click OK. In my case, I'm not going to set it as default because this is not probably what I want, but you can do that. So I'll just say OK, and it's going to pick that. And file associations, I'll just say don't make any changes. You can say yes, and if code blocks is the only integrated development environment that you're using, then you can choose that. All right. So just like in Visual Studio, I just basically routinely close these things. I really don't need many of these things. There are some toolbars that I don't use right here, so they're dockable, so you can just undock them, like this one, and plug in things, different kinds. You don't have to do this, but I'll do this to save some space during my presentations and stuff like that. So, and even this I don't need, like Doxygen right now I don't need in this. So I prefer this kind of simplified environment in most cases. Save everything, and I hope if I exit out of this and say yes, exit out, and re-enter it, it should remember my latest settings. So I It still opens the start page, which we will close, but the rest of it is pretty much basically this clean view. And as in Visual Studio, we need to begin with configuring a new project, right? So I'm just going to say File, New Project. And I will make the same choice. I will create an empty project. Same choice that we did in Visual Studio when we were working in project inside Visual Studio. I'm just going to say go, right? So pick this one, and it opens this up. We're just going to click next, and here I have to specify all of my locations and things. So I'm just going to go back to where I was on my system, and I think I picked BCC. Oh, I think it was under this junk. So somewhere here, week 03 was my project here. So I'm just going to use the same location, which doesn't look very good, but it's okay, right? So switch back here. And so my folder is going to be this junk folder. The project title is going to be C123, something similar, week 3 CB, which stands for code blocks, I guess. And just filling this information, and as we go next, it's going to again ask us what compiler we want to use and whether we want to use debug and release configurations. These are pretty much default options. We don't have to change anything. We're going to stick with these options, and we're going to say, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do this. So it just creates this empty project, and it just displays the names of the name of that project at the top. Then we go to View, and as in Visual Studio we had to say Display Solution Explorer. Here there's a panel called Manager, right? And there are projects and if I go here, I can essentially say, I think the easiest way to populate this would be to say File, New. A new, we can say New File. There's like a little wizard that allows us to create files of different types. Okay. So once again, I select my project in the management the panel that I open. Say File, New File, right? And it gives me some choices. And my choice would be this empty C++ file, and I'll say Go and Next. And now it's going to ask me whether I want to add this to my configuration. I'll just say All, okay. In all configurations, I want my file. And here's a file name full path. So I open this, okay. And right there, it points me to the location of my, if you look at my path, C Igor Junk, 123 week 3 CB, which stands for code blocks. But I will right click on this space and probably will just say New folder and say SRC. I will create for my source files, I will just create a sub-level in the directory structure where I would like to keep my files. And then as I'm done with this, right now this is my entire path. You can see it at the top. And then I'll say main.cpp, okay, and just say save. So now I specified that finish. It opens this blank file. It never hurts to click the Save All Files button so that everything is preserved. And then, of course, what I can do is just, for now, I'll just switch back to week 03 where I got started. Source, this was my latest version of my code. I'll just go to like Notepad and just copy and paste. Control C. close this, go here, and paste it in, right? You can paste it directly from our outline, right? But this is the same program, okay? And as promised, we probably don't need the CMath library right now, so we'll just save it as is this way. And if I go to build, same option, very similar. There's a build option. You say build. And since I closed the output window, I can say view if I want to see the results of my build. You need to go and say view logs, right? I'm just trying to preserve some space on my screen. That's why I routinely close these panels. But if you go through your logs, here it says a warning, variable results set but not used. That's a good thing to pay attention to. Basically what it tells me is that, hey, you're just using the variable multiple times, but you never display it or use it in any other computation. Rather than that warning, everything else compiles fine. And I even would like to be able to say, so okay, so what's the result of me? Let me just get rid of these two. I don't just like use the simple. So result is, and I can display what my result is by saying result, right? Just plug it in and then display a new line character at the end, and then save everything. Remember, you want to save everything. Say build again after making a change. Now it tells me you don't have any problems. Everything was built. And if you want to run it, you go to debug. I know you can use the toolbar icons, like you can learn what they do, but at this point I will just say debug and just basically run it. And when I run it, here says you want to change it, save it, yes, and you can see that my output is still the same, and then it closes out just like that. Question?